those who don't know who Daniel is, man, he's a remarkable salesperson, even better truck coach and trainer. He took himself from, I think it was like in 2022, man, $10,000 in the bank account, working in construction, to now
Mm,
doing well over $100,000 or more per month in sales and commissions. But he's also now like a growth operator, sales manager, helping close and
mm,
scale the incomes and a lot more. So I can't wait to talk to you, Jay, my friend.
yeah. Yeah, just to clear,
So,
like I don't want to have like amplified numbers, but as a closer itself, I didn't
uh-huh.
do 100K a month. I did
Mm-hmm.
like
45, right?
45. And
Mm-hmm.
then as a business owner, yes, we scaled to over 100K a month organically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Yeah. Sweet. Listen, I think what really made me start taking notice of you and what you're doing
Mm,
was when I was watching one of your videos, and one of the
mm,
first things I said, I think you were objection handling at the time, and one of the first things that stood out to me was, out of all the videos that I've seen with people like objection handling and talking to prospects, I think you were the only person I saw that when you did objection handling with them, like there was a complete shift in the person as a result of
mm,
hearing it. And there's
mm.
very few people, if at all, that have that kind of congruency when they speak to someone. Now you can
Mm.
tell when someone is like fake saying yes, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like they're saying yes with their mouth, but the heart and the mind is not into it. But
yeah.
when I will watch you do objection handling, that was like a complete like shift in the person. And I was like, that is absolutely phenomenal, right? But one of the things I came to learn, especially when I started trying to learn from you, was it was one of the first things you said to me. You said, Pierre, the sales stuff is great and there's some cool things that I can teach you. But what you're really going to get a lot of value out of is the mindset stuff, right? And for you, that hasn't just been true for like me personally. That's been true for like all the people that you train, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Why do you think that is?
I think that a lot of sales is more like authority. So you having influence over people ultimately
Mm-hmm.
starts with the influence you have of yourself. And a lot of people get
Mm-hmm.
into sales and have fast success because they've learned how to influence themselves over many years. And then once they find the sales vehicle, they take off their income, like it just skyrockets. And then other people who haven't learned to influence themselves in a high degree and then start and try to do that to other people like prospects, it just doesn't click and resonate instantly because they haven't even learned how to start within. So when other people come to me, typically I'm training people who've already been through other trainings, typically the same trainings that
Mm-hmm.
I've already been in.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got good offers, they've got good skills because they've learned the same stuff I've learned, but then they haven't got the internal part that maybe I brought into
Mm-hmm.
sales before jumping in, or the same foundations that like 40, 50K a month people have and they don't talk about.
Mm. What in your experience has been like the top maybe 4 or 5 beliefs that you see, come through time and time again, that's kind of
Mm.
keeping people stuck where they're at?
I think the biggest one, I'm not really sure about 4 or 5, maybe I can spin them out, but definitely the biggest one is that it takes time to, I guess, get results. I think that
Mm,
they cling on to like, oh, I've only been in sales for 6 months. I've only been in sales for a year, or I can't land a good role because I've only been in sales for a month. Like things like these and these beliefs
mm,
ultimately are not true, and they slow down people's progress and hinder them. Um,
mm,
so maybe like their own beliefs around their own capabilities is typically
mm.
what holds people back. They're always planning reasons into why they're not making the money they want to make.
Yeah. I remember you saying that on the call one time. I was like, "What on earth is he talking about?" It was like I think the question at the time was, um, like I think the belief was, it's going to take me a long time to get good. I think that was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
quote, the question. And he
Mhm.
said that itself is a limiting belief. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
holy
It's
crap.
not true. It's not true. And I think that it's like the sales space as a whole and what
Mm-hmm.
other trainers have said or people who've been in the industry for a long time have said. And that's ultimately like just been accepted as true because someone who's on authority has said it to be true, and therefore people adopt the belief and hold it. So, for example, even with me, I faced a lot of like backlash from starting to coach quickly. And it's like, okay, cool, you might have a point if I weren't adequate at coaching, but I'm clearly getting
Right.
results. So
Right.
what you're saying is not true. Why does someone have to be in the space for a certain amount of years before they can achieve something specific? Whether that's commissions, whether that's coaching, whether that's sales management. If someone's competent, it doesn't matter how quick they get the outcome.
Right. Right. I remember talking to June Choi about this very thing. One of his students there, he was talking about how he actually revealed an idea called retard maxing. Have you ever heard that phrase before? Neither did I. Retard maxing apparently is the idea that like it's the comparable term of like beginner's mind. It's like you're not too smart to make change quickly, right? You're not choosing to learn so many things at one time. You just kind of like focus on what's the task at hand and just moving on to the next thing. And I've heard this saying time and time again that a lot of times, people are just too smart to be successful. Like they're thinking that they need so many things in place, so much time in the space in order to kind of get successful and get successful consistently, right? So like for you, I mean, like you're a prime example of this, like, being able to shortcut time. One of my
Yeah,
favorite quotes that you had about that was, taking you called it time travel,
yeah.
right? How do you
Yeah.
explain that, time travel? How do you time travel?
Yes, it's essentially paying other people for their knowledge and
Hmm.
like bypassing their mistakes in a way and fast tracking your growth. So, for example, if I paid you 10K because you know how to do something I don't know, and you're 10 years more experienced than me, I'm essentially just getting 10 years of knowledge for money,
Hmm.
which is
Exactly
valuable.
right. Exactly right. Do you feel that when it comes down to, having success, um, and being successful, do you feel like that no one, everyone can do it, particularly in sales,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because I've heard this, when I watch like Facebook timelines and things like that, there's like people say things like, if you don't have like this particular character trait, if you don't have this particular background, if you're not doing this kind of activity, then you're not cut out for sales and you should just kind of quit. Like, how do you adjust your beliefs and values, your ideas, in order to be more in alignment with the successful version of yourself?
yeah, I think that the people who are saying that you have to fit a certain mold or have certain characteristics, have certain beliefs to be successful themselves, I think that's true. But
Okay.
I wouldn't say that just because someone doesn't have those characteristics that they can, I guess, learn to adopt them and embody them. Because at the end of the day, people could cut. Let's just say someone says, "Oh, you're not going to make it in sales because you're not a leader." Well, no one's necessarily born a leader. No one's
Hmm.
born analytical, logical. No one's actually born these ways. It's mainly people learn them through life experience and through their conditioning. So is it easy to unlearn certain things that will hinder you? No, but if you can do that, then anyone can make it in sales, in my opinion. So it's mainly like
Hmm.
learning how to. This is what I noticed with a lot of like 50K a month closers, and that's why I started my
Hmm.
program at like states the most important thing because if 2,000 people have went through the same program which I went through, and only a handful of us have made 40, 50K a month, then what does that tell you?
Hmm.
It's not the sales training. And I looked around at all the top closers and they all had similar character traits. I was like, okay, my job as a sales coach is to help people learn how to become this mold of a closer. And therefore they will make this commission. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. How do you mean by state? Like, could you unpack that phrase? Like, when you say state, like, what do you mean?
State.
Hmm.
By state of mind, I think, well, I mean the beliefs you hold, your ability to influence your emotions like on demand, because emotions are what's going to
Mm.
dictate your behaviors and behaviors dictate your results. So by state of mind, it simply just means your ability to control your beliefs and emotions and thoughts, in my opinion.
Mm. And I remember, speaking of beliefs and things like that, you said, we were all in a meeting one time, and you said, um, you said, I'm a belief filtering machine. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How does that work exactly? Like, how do you, like, you even brought this idea up about being useful versus true versus useful. Like, how do you become like a belief filter machine? Like, there are things in the world in sales that are like standard norms, and then
Mm.
there are other things um that are not per se standard norms themselves, but they're subject to change. So, like for you, like, how do you kind of filter beliefs as you're moving
Mm.
through the space?
That's like a life thing when I said I'm a belief filtering machine. So it's
Yeah.
not just sales. I think that there's no benefit in thinking things that don't serve you, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't help. It just doesn't help you. It just doesn't help anyone. So when I have certain beliefs or experiences come through, I'm still a human. I will still get like a negative meaning on things. Like let's just say, we use a simple life example. Let's just say a girl breaks up with me. Yeah.
Hmm.
That will then create an experience, which would then form a belief. And I can believe like, oh, I'm not good enough and cry about it, or I can filter the belief to a story that serves me, and then I'll take better behaviors and have a better outcome. So
Hmm.
how it works is like extreme awareness and introspection, I think. So like not just thinking, oh, I think certain thoughts, but actually understand these thoughts are coming from somewhere and trying to take the
Hmm.
time to analyze the thoughts. However, some people get too caught up in the thought analyzation and don't take action because of it. But the magic happens when you can think about your thoughts, think about a different way that serves you, and then take action on the new way that can serve you so you can prove that new way to be true. And then that's when
Hmm.
the belief reinforces a good belief, and then you don't need to beat around the bush on that belief for years on end. So there's a bit
Hmm.
of like nuance to that, I guess you could say.
Hmm. Hmm. I know for a fact that, when it comes down to, being able to choose beliefs, for example, one of the big things that you talk about all the time is being able to say something may be true in the physical world, like it may be naturally true, maybe a physical thing, but it
Yeah.
may not be useful, right? And I think that this is one of the big things, big shifts for me specifically when I was working with you,
Mm.
was even moving through, like, from call to call, day to day, being able to choose, okay, which these things, like, they may be true, like this day it was a terrible day, but being able to pick and choose, like, hey, this particular day is one in like 1,000. Like
Mm.
in the grand scheme of things, like this is just not as
Yeah.
relevant. And one of the things
Hmm.
I would see even on calls when you would coach people is like they'll find themselves in like slumps for a while, and they
Yeah.
would find themselves in slumps, and they would ask the same question, like, how do I get out of slumps, right?
Yeah.
when you would give when you give advice about getting out of slumps, like, what are some of the tips that you would give someone if they're kind of stuck in a slump and they're trying to get out?
Depends where the slump's coming from. Like let's say it's someone they've made 15, 20K a month, they've been in the space for a while, they've clearly got skill, and they're in
Hmm.
a slump, and they genuinely you can evidently look at the data and say like, okay, the leads are qualified, you're on the same offer, they're coming through the same funnel, and you're not performing, then that's a different type of slump. That's some sort of like internal limiting blocker, clearly. Like something external could be happening in their life, and they have to analyze it and take it for what it is and reframe that, and that's going to improve their sales skills. But someone else could say they're in a slump. They've been in sales for 1 month and it's not a slump, they're just not skilled. Like
Mm,
you're not in a slump, you just don't know what you're doing yet.
mm.
Someone else could be in a situation where they think they're in a slump, and then we analyze the offer they're on and it's dog shit. So the answer is I can't really answer what what I would do to get a generic person out of the slump, because it depends on the context of what's going on. But that's the same way I analyze my internal thought patterns and things of this nature.
Mm,
It's the same way you should analyze the offer you're on, the marketing.
mm,
Uh, are you actually in a slump, or is there some external factor that's causing it, but you still take ownership because you chose to be in that external situation, you know?
mm.
Um, so it does depend. I can't really answer, unfortunately.
Well, actually, you did. So, like, the first step is always going to be the most important, like becoming more aware,
Yeah.
and then clarifying like where the source of it is coming from. I think that's absolutely true. Like spending a lot of your time saying I'm in a slump is a buzzword, but like
Yeah,
taking the time to really, really think through, okay, why am I in a slump? Like, what does that actually mean for me at this time? And then making the subtle adjustments necessary to be able to solve the problems at hand.
exactly.
That's clear thinking 101.
Clear thinking 101. Oh,
That's clear
Jack.
thinking 101. Yeah, that's clear thinking
Yeah.
101. Um,
So me and Jack are like hyper specific people, you know, like
mm-hmm,
it's probably a big superpower of ours, which makes us good at
mm-hmm,
sales. But like the real key when I personally think a closer gets really good is they're very specific and like maybe I guess logical, but they're also able to tap into their emotions. So like I'm a very emotional person, just in general. That's why you can feel conviction on a sales call because
mm-hmm,
like my conviction and what helps, like you said at the start, someone to shift their state and like
mm-hmm,
genuinely want to say yes, not just like feel they're forced, is
mm-hmm,
that they feel I care. It's not the
mm-hmm.
logical thing I'm saying because me and you could say the same thing, but it's from a different place, and therefore it's going to make them feel different. So I think that great closers ultimately come about when they can tap into both sides of being human, which is logic and emotion.
Mm. Do you feel that I was listening to a like a podcast and the guy was struggling. I was actually watching a YouTube video and he said he was struggling with learning to care on sales calls. Like he was struggling with that prospect. He's like he had gotten to a point in his journey where you're
Mm,
seeing the same things, hearing the same things, and he was
mm,
struggling with like caring. So like projecting that sense of caring.
mm.
So I guess like what are some of the things that you do in like your day-to-day life to kind of cultivate that sense of caring about the other person, empathy, working with other people, like being genuinely like giving a F about seeing them succeed? Like how do you cultivate that over time?
I think that I think that some people haven't tapped into that like human need yet, and that's why they can't do it. So the
Mm-hmm,
human need is, you know, obviously um loving connection,
mm-hmm.
variety, certainty, and I don't remember the other one off the top of my head right now.
Certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, growth and
Significance.
contribution.
Yeah. So growth and contribution, those two, people don't aren't born with those. They learn. They learn to to find that need.
Mm-hmm,
So unless someone's actually learned to find that need, then if they don't need it, they're not going to just do it out of like goodness of their heart. They're going to do it because they want to make money or something like this. So
mm-hmm,
I think I think it comes from like I guess an awareness standpoint where you need to become aware that the more you can help other people, the more money you're in turn going to make, and the more that like God and the universe is going to reward you whatever you believe in.
mm-hmm,
Um, but you have to like become aware and commit to it, even if it's not easy at the start, because you know sometimes you don't want to help people. Even I don't want to help people, like in a way, but
mm-hmm,
I push through anyway because I've got to help them. So, for example, let's just say our favorite student Caesar is on the call and he's asking me
mm-hmm.
like the 15th question this week. You know, like it's like okay, like it's tough. You know, it's a tough
Less
one,
is
but like
hard. Less is hard, man.
yeah, I love Caesar, and it's like oh, it's a tough one because you've asked me this 15 times now,
Mm-hmm.
but I've just got to care about you because like I can see the potential you've got. I can see that you're stuck. I can see that there's just like someone who really needs my help. I don't know how to teach that. It's a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's partly conditioning as well. Like I said, I'm very introspective, and maybe a lot of it's because when I was growing up, I had to be like a young kid, no, like an old kid, as in
Mm-hmm.
I was always trying to keep my mum and dad from arguing and together and like keep a happy home, and I was fucking 8, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've
You grew
learned
up pretty
that
quickly.
I've learned that my space in the world is to keep people happy and try and make other people's lives better. And then in turn, my life will be better because when I was a kid and I noticed that, When was I upset? When my parents were arguing. So if I could keep peace in the
Mm,
house, I'd be happy. So it's the same thing here. Like if you're on a call with me and I can't keep peace in your life, I don't care about the money. I'm not gonna get off and think, shit, I lost 5K. I'm gonna think,
mm,
fuck, I fucked that person's life up. Um,
mm,
which is another thing, leads me to another point. I think the better salespeople like kind of view this like a life and death thing. Uh,
mm,
it sounds weird. Like I've noticed that some people seem to think it's silly, and maybe it could be silly, but it doesn't serve you to think it's silly. When like a salesperson like me is like, you've got to save this person's life. Like they've got to make a change. They've got to get out of their own way. They've got to lose the weight. They've got to make that. They've got to make 10K a month to change their family's lives. Like I get I can get more emotional and actually care about them because I view the problem as huge. But another closer who
mm,
doesn't view it as huge can't tap into that because they don't think it's a big deal. They just think, oh, he wants to lose 50 pounds.
mm,
So like at a certain point, we're all humans. We all have it in our code to care about other people, but it's how you
mm,
perceive the other people and their situation that's gonna ultimately dictate your level of care.
mm,
You know, everyone who's seen that shooting at the Sydney beach,
mm.
everyone had an element of care towards that because they've seen it
Right,
was a serious problem, no matter whose eyes you're looking through.
right.
Which means that if someone was talking to someone on that beach, they would care about them. That same closer who struggled to care, he would care about someone on that beach if he spoke to him, someone on the floor
Mm,
dying. But the problem
mm,
is he can't care because he doesn't view the situation of the prospect to a high enough degree where he has to care. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
So that feels like a
mm.
rambly answer, but it can just be taken in so many different directions.
Agreed. It seems like this is kind of recurring theme of like almost rewiring yourself to do certain things, right? Like you mentioned a
Mm,
bit earlier, like, there's the conditioning from the past that's now put you in a position where that's kind of like a default mode.
yeah,
Um, but even with the example about the beach, the clothes, the person cares, but it's caring enough. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So like, in your mind, I think I know the answers to this one, which is like um being able to, well, I guess I will ask you about that. Like in your mind, like do you have a process or thought process on conditioning that level of care, like making those things connect in a person's mind? Like, hey, this is not just some random person on the call, this is a person with a life or death situation here. Like, have you discovered a way to kind of make like kind of um to make those connections or help a person make those connections?
Mm. So I learned a lot of like the way I think and my belief system through just listening to people who I wanted to be like.
Okay.
I have a handful of people that I know, like, and trust, and I'd love to, I guess, embody the same traits, have the same legacy as them, like a similar legacy, sorry. And
Hmm.
I would just listen to the way they think and adopt it on repeat until it just became who I am, you know? So
Adopt it on
that's
repeat, like
that,
what? Like keep listening to it, you mean? Or like what do you mean by
yeah,
that?
keep listening. Like I was like obsessed, sort of thing. Uh obsessed with, like I would just listen to them all day long. I listened to them when I sleep, I listened to them when I play basketball, all of these things, like it all adds up over time. But another simple answer, let's just say you don't want to do that, which I wouldn't see why you wouldn't want to. I think it's getting to a point where like you actually care about yourself.
Mm,
Because if you actually care about yourself, you actually take your life serious, you won't expect anything less for others.
mm,
And I treat everyone, by the way, in my life the same. Like the same standard I would hold a prospect, the same way I'd speak to my mom, same way I'd speak to my girlfriend, same way I'd speak to my brother or sister. Like I don't even necessarily label people with those things and think I'm going to treat you any different. I treat everyone the same
like you don't have a
because
dual criteria where like my
no,
criteria is different from their criteria.
no, I try and keep everyone in the same bucket, same standard. If they thinking things and saying things that don't serve them, I call them out. Uh,
Mm.
don't get me wrong, like I've actually spoke about this with my friend, and it can get quite it can kind of get to a point where like it's just too introspective and it gets very deep. But I'd also rather be on this deep side of the coin than like an extremely shallow side of it.
Mm.
Because at least in the deep end, there's opportunity, you know?
By the way, speaking of introspection, did you know that um, self-reflection and introspection is a kind of intelligence?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, look it up. That's like I think it's like seven different types of intelligence, and like introspection. Introspection is one. I think it's called something else like self-awareness or self something. And then like people intelligence, mathematics, spatial, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you get a
Mhm.
chance, like, you should look that up. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have a
Um,
look.
yeah. So I think that one of the things that um I think that a lot of people miss is the fact of like having your own standards to work with, doing the
Mm,
hard work of coming up with what are your non-negotiables, and
mm,
then moving through the world in a way that offers those standards to other people without being overbearing.
mm,
When I watch you move through the world, talk to people and things like that, I've never heard, like in all the videos I've watched about you, I've never heard you talk any differently. You know what I mean? Like
mm.
the person that is your student, like you don't talk to them any differently than someone I respect, like a sales coach or trainer, another business person. You move
Mm.
through the world, you move through the world in a way that it's like you can feel that there is a non-negotiable there, but it's not overbearing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not like I'm forcing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you're not a dictator. Like
Yeah,
the bad friend who's always pointing out your faults and your weaknesses. Like you're not
yeah, yeah,
that guy.
yeah. So are you gonna ask like why or how?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. It's just like, like how do you develop that level of like it's a word that I want to use for this. There's a word I want to use for that idea. It's not humility. Um, I would say genuineness and presence. Probably the way
Mm,
I would think about that. Just being
yeah.
genuine and caring, like moving through the world like that. Like how do you do that? Present, that was the other word, yeah.
I think the only reason I would do the opposite of what you stated that I do, so i.e. like maybe I would I would shift the way I talk for other people, or depending on the room I talk different.
Hmm.
It's because like my wantingness to have you do a certain thing would increase or decrease.
Hmm.
Like, i.e., let's just say you're my student. Let's just say you're on a sales call with me and I want you to buy. Maybe
Hmm.
the way I come across would change because I'd want you to buy,
Hmm.
and therefore I'd change how I talk and change the things I'm saying, etc. Let's say
Hmm.
I knew you weren't going to buy. Maybe I'd talk to you different because I know you ain't got any money and I'm not going to get anything out of it.
Hmm.
But the reason that I don't really shift depending on the room or who I'm talking to is
Hmm.
because I am genuinely detached.
Hmm.
Like I I understand that like I can say certain things, but I'm not trying to have any control over anyone's life. Like I care about people, but I know I haven't got that power. Like I haven't got the power
Hmm.
to control anyone. Therefore, when I talk to people, I'm genuinely just giving my own thoughts and views on the world, and I don't care if you get it or not. I don't care if you want to adopt it or not. I don't care if you agree or disagree or not. I'm just giving you my model of the world, and you can choose to use it or bin it. So
Hmm.
I don't know if that's overall answering your question, but I think that's where my ability to talk to people the same way in all regards comes from because I'm detached, I guess you could say.
Hmm. And do you feel like that is a case that has just always been true? been having that level of detachment, or is it you feel like that's something that you cultivated as a result of moving into this world in sales?
Mm, I think I learned it once again, probably through conditioning.
Mm,
Like, and it's kind of hard to say that because then it's like, okay, other people might assume that you need to be conditioned in a certain way to do it, but that's
mm,
not true. Like, you can learn it, and I can expand on that in a second. But I think I learned to be
sure.
detached from outcomes because, once again, childhood. Like,
Mm,
if I want it, I won't get into like granular details, but let's just say
right.
I expected something of my parents that I knew was better for them than they did was better that I knew what was better for them than they did at a young age, and I was ultimately trying to help influence them, and they wouldn't change no matter how far I went. That obviously taught me a life lesson that you can't want things more than other people want them. So what's the
Mm,
point of like trying to have that level of control over someone else? You can't.
mm. That's good, man. That's good. I think that even on sales calls, especially when people like get into like objection handling mode or they come across confrontation,
Yeah.
resistance in shape, form, or fashion, whether it be on a sales call or not, the ultimate gain for them is winning
Yeah.
instead of just being firm enough to say, this is the way I think, this may be beneficial for you, but you can take that or
Yeah.
leave that. I think that
Exactly.
there are far too many people invested in their point of view in trying to control other people through objection handling or, arguments and all that kind of stuff. But I really like the idea of like, these are the standards that I hold. This is what I personally believe. You can
Yeah.
choose, I can share it with you if you wish, but
Yeah.
it's not my job or having the power to like control you and make it you do things. I really
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
really like that. That's good, man. Of
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I'll go above and beyond to get my point across, but once
course.
again, I don't, not that I don't care. I hate I need to find a new word for this, but like I'm not, because I always have to say I don't care, but I do care, but I understand my place. I can't do it for you, you know?
Mm, that's good, man. That's good. Talk to me about like, you know, we know that the strongest superpower in a closest arsenal is confidence.
Mm,
Confidence and certainty are like the two, I would say, highest states of mind you can kind of walk in.
yeah,
And I think that especially people who are new,
yeah,
they walk around with this "I need to please other people" kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I remember one of the exercises you took us through in the program had to do with finding out what are the things limiting or preventing you from being confident. Can you talk to us about that?
Could you expand on the question?
Sure. Sure. So one of the exercises that you had us do in the program was focusing on how to eliminate the things that are
Mm,
weakening our ability to be confident and certain. It was in the confidence masterclass.
okay. So are you talking about like posturing and collapsing, or are you talking about confidence in
Exactly.
general?
Exactly. Posture and collapsing. That was the word I was looking
Okay.
for.
So yeah, just for everyone, like collapsing is essentially when someone will shrink themselves in a specific situation. Just like let's just say I'm with Pierre and I'm wanting to please him, I might shrink myself to make him feel better. And then the
Mm,
vice versa would be like, let's say I want to seem like I'm more than Pierre, I will overpower him and overdominate to like an extreme degree just to make
mm,
myself seem like I'm authoritative rather than just being myself, which is the middle and it's composure. So
mm,
typically people once again have beliefs, so just start the beliefs again, that because of some sort of factor about someone, that this person is either above or below them. And then depending on the way they view them, either above or below, they will naturally shift. Are they collapsing or posturing in order to keep themselves safe? It's not like they're bad people, but collapsing and posturing is just a safety mechanism.
mm.
Yeah. It's just a safety mechanism for like the ego and just core human DNA and survival. So if I
Mm,
thought that you were a threat to me, I would collapse to keep you happy, people please,
mm,
because I want to be safe. And it's the same with posturing. If
mm,
maybe I've seen you as a powerful person, but I needed to be more powerful, I'd naturally revert to that to keep myself safe so you don't do anything to me.
mm,
It's the same thing on a sales call. Like, let's say someone's selling to millionaires, but they've never even seen $1 million. They'll
mm-hmm,
naturally collapse. And if they collapse because they view this person as above them, then what happens when it comes to objection time?
mm-hmm,
They obviously can't handle anything because they think this person's better than them.
mm-hmm.
So I think the big key with like getting over the collapsing and posturing trap is ultimately viewing everyone as equal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you view everyone as equal, um, and you take yourself out of the conversation, like on a sales call, like you're not even relevant transparently. If you just view yourself as the mirror and like this is a conversation between them and themselves, like playing chess against themselves, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
facilitating it, then you
Mm,
won't collapse or posture because you realize you're irrelevant. Do you know what I mean?
mm.
If you're
That's
irrelevant, you
good,
can't
man.
collapse or posture because you're not there.
That's good, man. That's really good. Being able to move through sales calls as a mirror.
Mm.
I really, really like that phrasing and that analogy.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if it's them against them, then there's no need to overdo like your authority frame kind of stuff. You know how people start their
yeah, yeah,
calls off in their framing and they're like, who on earth is that guy? You know? But at the
yeah,
same time, you're not cowering in fear because they have some that you perceive that you do not have.
yeah. I could expand on confidence though, like just as a general rule of thumb, in my opinion. I
Hmm.
think that the most confident people are just the people who have like expanded their behavioral flexibility to the highest degree a lot of the time. Like if you view it like a map, like this is like
Hmm.
a circle. Some people's like behavioral flexibility is this big,
Hmm.
but then some people, like I would argue myself, like one of my like things I do in life is expanding this map, like
Hmm.
touching experiences that other people haven't touched, because that would then in turn allow me to sell myself the story that I'm able to do things other people aren't able to do, which therefore will give me confidence. So I think that people should find their weaknesses in like what they're willing and unwilling to do. Obviously, don't like go and get in danger or anything. You can if you want, that might give you confidence. But like ultimately, like me and Jack, for example, we've like sung, like we do like singing lessons, and not because we want to be like Michael Jackson, but because we understand that tapping that corner of behavioral flexibility will give us more confidence. Around 12 months ago, I was scared to talk to girls. Not scared to
Hmm.
talk to girls, but I was scared to approach girls. So what did I
Hmm.
do? I just committed to doing 10 approaches a day for 3 days. And now I guarantee you've never seen anyone as confident with girls than me. Like, just because I was willing to go and touch the territory without, not without feeling fear, but without letting the fear stop me. And then you learn that it's safe. And then you do it, do it, do it again.
Still working on those Brazilians, huh?
Now, no, I've got a girlfriend now, but yeah, I was. That's a story for another day, but
That's a
like,
story for another day.
because I could get into
Oh,
that for hours, mate, if you've got time for that one. But like,
yeah.
I went from not like, oh, we could do a short story. I went from no
Sure.
girlfriends to wanting multiple wives at once and being successful doing it. So like, it's just
Creating his own
it's
harem.
yeah. Now I don't do that, but I did do it for like a little while, and they all knew, you know. But
Hmm.
once again, it was just the stuff I learned in sales.
You set the agenda on them. So you're gonna be Monday, and then you're gonna be Tuesday. No, I'm just teasing. Don't.
Yeah, we won't
Uh,
get into it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think what I think what you're saying is true for sure. One of my favorite kind of mindset guys, his name is Julian himself, and he talks about that most people use um, most people misuse triggers. What they'll do is that they'll get triggered And instead of dealing with what the problem is that's actually triggering them, what they'll do is that they'll develop some type of escape mechanism, like the Power of Now from Eckhart
Echoes.
Tolle, I think his name.
Yeah.
He talked about Julian said that most people use presence as a way to escape from the trigger that just happened instead of using the trigger as a way to eliminate the trigger altogether. Right. So in a case of, like in your case with the approach thing, I think it's called approach anxiety, I think is what it's called. You're trying to, you try to you're getting ready to go and approach the girl, but now you're feeling all the feelings that come along with rejection, even though you haven't opened up your mouth yet. Right. And instead of trying to identify, number one, where the problem is and dealing with it right then and there, you're trying to escape to presence or escape to some other word in your mind instead of dealing with the root problem at hand. I really, really like the fact of using triggers as a means of finding out where the problems are and then dealing with them and eliminating them, so you just don't have them anymore.
I think it's a good point, and I think there's a fine line between like limiting beliefs and reality too.
Limiting beliefs in what?
And reality.
Like, okay.
For example, like even we'll just use the girl example again because it's just the easiest to expand on for me.
Right.
But like, okay, I could have sat down 1 year ago and said like, okay, I'm scared to approach girls. Okay, what are the reasons behind that? And then I lay it out, and there's no reason I should be. Like, okay, I'm young, I'm good looking, I make money, I'm not a prick. Like, why am I scared to approach this girl? Yeah. But then someone else could sit down and be like, okay, why am I scared to approach this girl? And then they sit down. There's a bunch of real reasons that are true that they need to solve before they start trying to approach girls. Otherwise, it's never going to go away.
Right.
So it's the same thing with sales. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, if you're shit at sales and you actually haven't got skill, you just tell yourself it's a limiting belief and then it's not true anymore. And now, like, there is a fine line where you can't just like everything's limiting beliefs. You know what I mean?
Right. I could. Yeah. That's funny.
So, like, we need to be real with ourselves as well. That's very important. Yeah, because otherwise it will just become delusion. Like, okay, I want to fight Mike Tyson. Like, I'm not going to just limiting belief myself into getting in the ring and knocked out,
We're going to work on my mind, right? I'm just going to work on my mind. I'm going to beat Tyson, man. I'm going to beat Tyson in the ring.
Yeah. So I think the trigger thing's important, but then like also to go a little deeper than that, like, is the reasons behind the trigger making you feel that way true? And if they are, change them. And if they're not true, then it's a limiting belief and you can basically change it quick,
Right. And I think that there's a difference between momentary delusion, like the state that you're in at the time is just not useful for problem solving.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to being permanently deluded. Like, for example, Alex Hormozi was on a podcast with Chris Williamson. And he talked about how when he first started, publishing content, let's say he had like 15 views, but let's say he had like 156 impressions. What he did at the time, instead of focusing in on the 15 likes or whatever that was, he focused in on 156 impressions, and that was like his, pat on the back moment to move on and keep going. He said the ultimate idea is to do all you can to stay in the game, right? Do everything you possibly can to keep playing the game, keep showing up to the game.
I agree.
But like, to your point, like you can't if you're doing something and you're not seeing the results, give yourself the moment to breathe or whatever the case you need to be, but don't be an ostrich putting your head in the sand. Like, actually take the time to figure out how to solve the problem. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. I think that one of the things I wished in general that people knew was the fact that they can change themselves at will.
Yeah.
Right. I wish there were more people understood that. Because I fundamentally believe, I think just because being around you and Jack all the time,
Mm.
you guys talk about some crazy stuff in there, so there you go. I think that fundamentally speaking, I think that a lot of the problems that happen in sales and in life just come down to the fact that people just don't know how to adjust at any given time. Like again,
Mm.
I love the quote of it may be true, but it may not be useful for the task in hand. I
Yeah.
really, really like that because being able to say, yeah, but I choose to believe this instead. Like I remember asking you a question about a quote that I heard from a closer. He said, "You want to believe that everyone will pay in full." Do you remember me asking you
Yeah.
about that?
No.
And I was like, that's totally not true. Like not everybody can pay in full. And you was like, I was like, how do you reconcile that? Um, and one of the things you told me you said was the real truth is that everyone can pay in full. They're just not be paying full at the time. And you started like
Mm.
doing the meta model thing on me.
Mm.
Right. That's another story for another day. But I
Yeah.
really do believe that the biggest issue, the biggest challenge in any person's life at any given time is their inability to self-correct or change at will.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Right?
believe so.
I believe so as well. So like for you, my friend, I know that we're coming up on the hour, right? So like for you, like what is like some last pieces of advice that you like to share with someone who's trying to get to a point where they're stuck, maybe they're stuck in average,
Mm.
5K or whatever the case may be, and they're trying to
Mm.
get to the next stage of their journey. Like what is some of the advice that you can give them to kind of break out of their ceiling?
I think the best thing to do is to look around at the people who have done the things that you want to do. So whether
Mm-hmm.
that's me, whether that's other closers in the space who've done 40, 30, 50K a month, whatever the goal is. And don't look at them and say, okay, what words are they saying? What trainings have they went through?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, who did they learn objections from? Who have they done one-on-ones with? Like, don't look at it through that lens. Look at it through the lens of like who they are, like the values they have, the principles they hold, the way they perceive sales, and choose to adopt those things instead. And in turn, you will learn to adopt those beliefs and values, and then you'll start saying the same things they say, and then you'll get paid the same way.
Mm,
But like I think too many closers at 5K a month, they look at these top guys and ask, "Oh, what are they saying? What questions are they asking?" But they're not
mm,
really trying to understand like the way they think and the beliefs they hold and the values they have. And that's what keeps them
mm,
stuck because it doesn't matter what words you're hearing me say if you're not the right person to use it. Like you can't look at me and say, "Oh, mate,
mm,
that's a nice $2,000 golf club," and then like think you're going to hit the ball the same way as Tiger Woods. It just doesn't work that way. Tiger Woods
mm,
is the person using the club, so focus on you and become competent in yourself, and then you can use the same word tracks we use and get the same results. But until then, you got to work with yourself.
mm. That's powerful, man. That's powerful, bro. I
Mm.
really do. I was doing some study on this, and there are two ways to kind of learn anything at any given time. You can choose to go down the logical route of like memorization, which is what you're talking about, like English tracks and scripts and all those kinds of like. You can take the time to um try to do rote memorization on that. You can try to understand that. You can try to like then go and try to create your own. You can do that process and it has value. Or you can
Yeah,
choose to model someone, right? And then through the process of trying to model them, which is absorb the person's ideas and ways of thinking, you can
yeah,
start getting to certain things a lot faster, language tracks and things like that.
yeah,
So I really,
yeah.
really resonated with that.
Yeah, I'm rereading Atomic Habits, and like
Mm,
number one, I think he said like 50% of the puzzle is like basically saying the identity piece of like
mm,
I'm not a smoker, for example. That's
mm-hmm,
50% of building a habit, like selling yourself the new identity. So it's the same shit here. Like when it comes to the word tracks and things, like why can't you just say you're a certain type of person and then in turn you start saying certain types of things? Um,
mm.
Like for example, I've got a guy in the program Born to Close. I hired him for a fitness offer that I'm managing. He went like a week without a sale. We had one call review, and I saw it straight away. Like he was trying to be me in a way.
Mm,
Like not say the same things, but act the same way. Like I'm quite
mm,
authoritative on a sales call. And he's more like naturally smiley and things. And I was like, why are you doing
mm,
this? He's like, well, I've seen your sales calls. This is like the aura you're like basically exuding. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not me. Like smile a bit more. And now he's like went 6 for 6. The last 6 calls he's closed 6 people on like 5.5K contracts, 6K contracts.
right,
Just
right.
because I told him to actually be himself. I think that's
Mm,
another thing. Like, I could talk about it for like a long time. Um, But like so many people come to me and they're trying to be like their old sales trainer. And that's why
mm-hmm.
they're stuck for a year because they're trying to be someone who's Irish and they're Romanian. Do you know what I mean?
I think that is a definite whole different kettle of fish too. Like, where's the line? Like you're modeling, like where's the line between like adopting that whole person's personality versus just
Yeah.
adopting the best? Like how do you make the how do you draw the line?
So in my opinion, once again, it's not like a simple like one size fits all, but let's just say
Mm-hmm.
I want to embody something in you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say you care about your prospects
Mm-hmm.
and you care because of X reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good way to model. Does that resonate with me? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it could resonate with me, but right now I think X, and then you choose like, okay, will your one or my one serve me more? And then I would install yours or put yours in the bin. But
Mm-hmm.
essentially, like, it needs to still be you. So that's why you've got to like see how that other person's thinking, behaving, believing, valuing. Does that resonate with you? Yes or no? If it doesn't, ask yourself why not. And if it's a real reason, you should probably cut it off and never embody it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, one of my first coaches that probably anyone who knows me would know which coach I'm talking about because it's the one that I got good results with at first. Um, like he would get fueled off of like competition, i.e., like I have to beat this person and destroy them.
Right.
Like, okay, I see the intention behind it. The intention is
Mm-hmm.
motivation, power, winning.
Mm-hmm.
But then that way of doing it doesn't resonate with me. I can't be fueled of like destroying someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I see why he wants to do it. I see the intention behind the behavior, which is to win. But what way of winning would get me the same outcome and result, but not in the same fashion of like destroying other people. So I can get the
Mm-hmm.
exact same fuel and motivation as that person, but through a different way. So my way is okay. My way is more so to see other people win. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like he wants to destroy, and it gives him motivation, but I want to serve, and it gives me motivation. And I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
mine is better than his or his is better than mine, but I'm just saying
Right.
one resonates with us. We're both getting the whole outcome of winning and motivation and fuel, but it's from a
Mm-hmm.
different source. But neither source is right or wrong. You need to weigh it up yourself.
Mm.
So that's a
I
bit of
got
like
you.
the one, but it's like a complicated thing to talk about.
It's like the way I'm hearing it has to do with being intentional about what you want to adopt and why.
Yes,
Um,
and seeing the intention behind the behavior and realizing there's many different ways to get that same intention.
hmm Going back to your example about being fueled by competition actually destroying someone in actual
Yeah,
service.
the
Hmm.
intention behind them is the exact same, but the fashion it's done in will only resonate with some people and others not.
Right. So like you're distinguishing like, okay, here's the outcome I'm after, right? This is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to create.
yeah,
But is their way of thinking and feeling and believing about it in alignment with the way that I think, feel, and believe? Is that accurate?
exactly.
Is that what you mean by that?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It goes to a whole nother point, which is like again, most people spend a lot of their time moving through the world like randomly, like they just kind of like pulled along the way here,
Yeah.
that, and the other place without ever taking the time to think about, is this what I really want?
Yeah.
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 I heard this one guy, he was talking about people imitating German like he's Irish.
Mm.
And Jeremy's question, which is how does that make you feel? Like that question.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, if you're Irish, I wouldn't try to do that question that way. He said, because it's gonna come off as weird. And that's like, so be careful about how you speak. Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay, okay, sweet. Well, listen, man, it has been a pleasure speaking with you as always, my friend. I mean,
Mm.
like, I can't think of a time of like being around you where I haven't thought to myself, man, how do you do that? Right? Um, if anyone wants to connect with you, what is the best ways to reach out to you if they want to like learn more about like how to cultivate their state, how to be able to pick and choose the ways in which they want to kind of move through the world, how to sell at a high level, like how to generate more income and sales, like how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, so they can follow me on Instagram. It's probably the best place.
Hmm.
In my Instagram bio, I've got a free school group. There's a whole 10-hour course on skill, and then once you went through the skill, you
Hmm.
unlock bonus modules. I think there's like an extra 20 hours, and I give you like a lot of the state stuff from my program.
Hmm.
Uh, so essentially, Instagram and school would probably be best if you want to learn and see what I do firsthand.
Yeah, and
But
I'm gonna drop those links, and I'm gonna drop those links in the description so they'll be able to easily kind of do it instead of chasing the internet around.
yeah,
But listen, man, like I said, I had a really, really great pleasure speaking with you today. And listen, guys, if you're in a place in a time where you are stuck and you're having a hard time kind of like changing yourself, like upgrading yourself to get to the next stage, man, like Daniel's the person that kind of you need to speak to. So listen, on the next episode, we're going to be spending time talking about hypnosis and sales and selling, how they work, is it ethical for one and things like that, and how to actually use it to, help yourself as well as your prospects get to the next stage of your journey. So listen, until the next time, you know, I want to remind you that you're always closer than you think. All right, guys. Bye. Uh,
nice outro.
I try my best. I try my best.
I liked it.